2017 has been an amazing year in technology. We'll be recapping some of those advances and how they will help or maybe even hinder you in the future. At the control panel, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Hello.
So did you get to Star Wars?
No, I'm waiting to. I want to go see that movie about Churchill.
I guess the lines were amazing this weekend for Star
That's what
Wars.
I hear. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Second biggest opening of all time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
So what was number one?
I have no idea. I knew you were going to ask that.
I know that. Well, then you should have been prepared.
Probably Gone with the Wind or something. I don't know.
So the second biggest opening of all time for all movies ever?
That's what they're saying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was just thinking for Star Wars in general, but wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's incredible. I mean, there's always so many good movies that are coming out. Obviously, there's bad ones too, but definitely Star Wars, the Churchill one, it looks like that's going to be an awesome movie.
Absolutely. And everybody, this is Dave Blair, of course. So
no, Rock and Dave.
Or Rock and Dave Blair. I forget about that. Yeah,
that's all right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Churchill movie too. In fact, that's the one that I'm really looking forward to this holiday season.
Oh, The Force Awakens was number one.
Okay.
That was the biggest.
Okay, so it was another Star Wars that beat it out. So okay, very good. Thank you there, Jim. So anyway, we're going to be going over some of the amazing tech in 2017, and it has been an amazing year as far as advances go. And we're going to be talking about how this is going to change your life a little bit. And maybe some of these technologies, too, is going to be probably a little scary. And we'll get into that a little bit, too. And, of course, Dave, you have a list of the top tech failures of the year.
The 17 worst tech failures in 2017.
Wow. So hopefully at the end of the show, everybody, we'll be going through the worst tech failures of the year, too. So we'll get through the good stuff first, and then we're going to have a little, it sounds like a little laugh or two.
It's going to be a good guy, bad guy.
Oh, okay. Type. Cool. Well, very good. So the first thing that I find amazing, I know we talked about this early in the year, scientists are making remarkable progress at using brain implants to restore the freedom of movement that spinal cord injuries take away. This is an amazing thing. So what they're basically doing is if you have a spinal cord injury, they put an implant on both sides of the injury. And it's like a wireless device or a wireless communication device that then talks across that spinal cord injury and allows people to have movement again.
Wow.
I think that's incredible. They're talking, as I read through this again today, they're talking that we may actually be seeing the end of spinal cord injury paralysis.
Wow.
That is incredible to me. Absolutely incredible. 10 to 15 years is what they're talking about. And they're already experimenting with this, and they're having great success. It's amazing.
You know, I think I mentioned this a while back, too, about the strides they've made with stem cells.
Yes.
And a lot of that has to do with your spinal cord, too, for people that have MS, like my daughter, and Parkinson's.
Right.
So, I mean, what a huge breakthrough in both technologies. The stem cell is definitely something that has been it's been proven out that it's working.
Right. I think 2017 is going to go down as a year of the beginning of our new medical era.
Yep.
I truly believe that because, I mean, we're seeing advances like we've never seen before, and we're just on the cusp of quantum computers, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, and that is just going to really open up things that we've just, I mean, we're going to have, between that and gene therapy, which we're going to get into in a little bit here too, I mean, it really is a big year for medicine. It has been just a remarkable year for that type of thing. And in fact, I guess we can just go right to that. So let me get back through my notes here a little bit. But gene therapy, so this is amazing too, as I have pages and pages of notes
you know,
here.
the interesting thing is that, United States always takes the lead in some of this, but the medical side has been really Europe that's been really leading the charge because for the regulations of, whether you get it approved through FDA or not. But so that's the thing that we really need to concentrate on is getting these breakthroughs moving quicker.
In the United States.
In the United States.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, so gene therapy. So this is amazing. Kayla Looks gave birth to fraternal twins in 2015. Her and her husband Phil had no idea that one of them was harboring a deadly mutation in genes. So at 3 months, her son Levi was diagnosed with severe combined immune deficiency, or SCID, which renders the body defenseless against all infection. So basically what's happening, he's going to be unable to defend against anything, even a common cold or whatever is going to come at him, right? So anyway, to this point, anybody who's born with this disease doesn't live past the age of 2. 2. So anyway, they're beside themselves. They have twins, right? Yep. One of them has this, one does not, right? So there's this gene therapy that they find out about. So they go and have this gene therapy. It's basically an outpatient type of scenario. They basically gave Levi an injection, and they went home, and it's gone. Gene therapy. In fact, Levi is actually grown to be a little bit bigger than his twin brother now.
Oh.
So it's amazing when you think about that. That's something that wasn't even curable before. Yep. That they can go in and just get an injection, and that's it.
Well, I think so much stems around the research that's been done with DNA. And
Absolutely.
Really, because that's where it all starts, is isolating those different cells in your body. And obviously they were able to do that, in this particular case.
Right. And how they deliver it actually is interesting, too, because gene therapy is actually delivered through a virus. So it's injected into you as a virus, and the idea is elegant. They use engineered virus to deliver healthy copies of a gene into the patient with defective versions. So, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So maybe you were born blind.
Yep.
You'll get an injection, and you'll be able to see again. I mean, and it goes on and on and on and on. I mean, you have any deficiencies. I mean, if you have a kidney issue, a liver issue, whatever. A lot of gene therapies will just it'll be just an injection and it will disappear. It's just amazing.
So do you see that being the cure for cancer then too, possibly?
So there's a lot of talk about that, but there's, of course, a lot of different types of cancer.
Right.
So, but there is a lot of talk about, because sometimes when you talk about cancer, they talk about being a virus.
Right.
So if that's the case, there might be a way that they can use this for that. But a lot of the things, that basically a lot of the stuff is what we're born with. So if we have something that kind of sets us a little bit differently, that's always a bad thing. But but if you're born blind and you can go get an injection,
right.
and in a couple days you're able to see again, that's miraculous.
Yeah,
it really is.
And I'm excited about all of that. I mean, like I mentioned, the stem cells. Using your own stem cells, they clean them up, put them back into your system again, and then you can actually get other people's stem cells if they match up your DNA with theirs. If yours cannot reproduce. For all of the issues out there, and cancer is one of them that they're using a lot.
It's amazing. We're not doctors and we're talking about medicine. But anyway, after the break, everybody, we'll continue on our top tech of 2017. And we have some amazing stuff to talk about. Come on back.
Right now, 37.
News and Views with Joel Heitkamp. Weekdays on SuperTalk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank everybody who listens to us around the country and across the world on the Blueberry Network, on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. On the Roku, iTunes, Apple TV, tuned in, and of course our own app, Radio Pup. And you can just go, if you have an Amazon Alexa, I'm going to trigger everybody's Alexa right now.
Oh boy, here we go.
If you go, Alexa, listen to the Tech Ranch podcast, it'll just come right up.
You got to say podcast.
You got to say podcast.
That's podcast.
It is kind of weird that it's that way since we're not really a true podcast.
Right.
But we do have a podcast. So if you do that, it actually comes right up. So it's pretty cool.
Watch out for the podcast coming to you in the very near future.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We got some announcements coming here in the near future about this show as well. So I know. Cool stuff. So anyway, we're talking about the top tech in 2017 in studio. Jim Walsh, producer extraordinaire, and of course, Rockin' Dave Blair.
And the geezer is here somewhere.
He's here, sleeping in the corner.
Probably.
Well, that's because it's National what Day?
You have to put a bleep in there to say that, don't you?
National Don't
It's the
Do
Geezer's Day, though, really.
National Don't Do a Diddly Darn Thing Day. I had to clean that up for contemporary community standards and all that.
It is Answer the Phone Like Buddy the Elf Day today, too. So
what is it?
It's Answer the Phone Like Buddy the Elf Day. So you answer the phone, Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
What's your favorite color?
That's right. There you go. Okay. So if you
I'm
call
singing.
if you call us today, we're actually answering that way over at the office, so it's hilarious. Absolutely.
I don't feel like doing day. At least according to Facebook.
That's right. And if it's on Facebook, it must be true.
Yeah.
We. Anyway, so we were just talking about some of the advances in medicine, and you're just going to see more and more of that in the next coming years. Autonomous vehicles. I'm also going to say that this is the year of autonomous vehicles, self-driving vehicles. So tractor trailers without a human at the wheel will soon barrel onto highways near you. What does that mean for the nation's 1.7 million truck drivers? So truck driving is the #1 occupation in the country. So what is your? I mean, we get this question all the time, Dave. So what is your take on this?
Well, I think the easy takeaway is that there's still how many jobs are available out there for truck drivers right now.
They I know we hear differences all the time, but we figure between 20 and 50,000 is the shortage right now of truck drivers. And it just goes up.
Yep.
It just goes up.
So what does that mean? That means that there's a lot more jobs available for people that want to get into that industry, but you got to remember, there's probably not a lot of people that really want to do that either.
Well, I do this almost every time I talk to colleges, right? So I'll go in and somewhere in my talk, I'll say, how many of you aspire to be a truck driver?
Right.
And how many do you think have ever raised their hand?
I would... Did you get one?
I've never had one.
Not even one.
And I'm guessing many tens of thousands of students.
See, there was a time when a lot of kids would have thought that'd be a pretty cool job.
Absolutely. In fact, it was
like a train engineer.
And we're talking our era, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what your family did, and you aspired to do this. It's a great way to see the country and everything else, but none of our people in our younger generation want to do this. And I know that, things have changed. I mean, people just, in fact, I actually, even in a group of fifth graders last Friday morning, I was talking to a big group of fifth graders, and I asked them if they want to learn how to drive or if they want their smart device. They had a choice. You could either have one or the other. Where do you think it went?
Oh, definitely smart device.
About 85% was smart device. So they're just not that concerned about moving around, which is why I think autonomous vehicles are basically coming of age at the same time that our kids are growing up. So
I'm sure that we'll get some feedback from the truck drivers out there, or truck drivers union, and we always saying, okay, but how many jobs are going to be complemented and increased because of autonomous vehicles out there?
Well, I know that I always use this analogy when it comes to jobs, but think of the phone industry or telephony industry, if you want to get technical about it. So, we lost hundreds of thousands of jobs to land. I mean, when we went from landlines to cell phones, because the landline industry is in the tank right now. I mean, there's very few people, and even the companies who offer landline services. I mean, it's not traditional like we used to have. It's all like VoIP service, voice over internet protocol. You might not know that because it rings like a traditional phone does, but it's all through the internet anyway, right?
Right.
So if you have a landline, that's probably what you have. So that's changed. And then, of course, we all carry a device in our hands now, or carry it with us all the time, and that's 98% of the country or carry a device, right? So that has changed everything. So we've lost hundreds of thousands of jobs, but because of the cell phone technology and the apps and everything else, we have gained tens of millions of new jobs, just different.
Yep.
but new jobs because of it. So, and I expect that will actually continue to the point where we won't even know how to keep up with the amazing job growth we have going on, because as you bring the cost of goods down, and this is just historical fact, as you bring the cost of goods down, it aspires other industries around it. So if the cost of moving freight goes down, then what happens with that? If the cost of moving people go down, what happens with that? We don't know that yet because we're not at that point, but we're close. But there'll be all kinds of industries that will spin off because of it.
And I think the key component here is the kids that are growing up in this era right now, all the technology that's at their fingertips, and they're always wanting more and more, is to really get themselves in a position to find out what are those new jobs going to be like, and what am I going to have to go to college for to get to that point.
I think one area of growth that's going to explode is restaurants, because the ability to move product cheaper is upon us, right? So the ability to have food delivered to your house, it's not going to be traditional Chinese or pizza to your house anymore. It's going to be whatever you want. Because they'll just throw it in an autonomous vehicle and send it to you. So, the days of us cooking at home, I won't say it's already been diminished a lot already, but that's really going to go down even more because it's going to be cheap to have stuff delivered to you.
Well, and I think one of the things that we just don't really grasp here in North Dakota is, the traffic isn't that bad. You get some of these big cities and stuff like that, the traffic is, unbearable. And so to have somebody deliver your food to your house, that's
a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah. So anyway, they're talking, about 5 to 10 years that we're going to be seeing autonomous trucks. It might even be quicker than that now, because GM just a week and a half ago stated that in 2019 they're going to have 5 million cars that they're going to produce that are autonomous and electric on top of it. It's not just autonomous technology, self-driving technology. They're also moving to electric vehicles. So, those of us, or those of you, I shouldn't say us, I know you're kind of in the oil business a little bit, but people who are in that industry have to really be thinking about, as we start converting to electric vehicles, and the cost of fuel is going to go down because of that, because electricity is actually a little bit cheaper, I think, to run a car. I need to convert that one of these days, though. I'm not 100% sure how that works.
And there's some other conversions out there, too, whether you use compressed natural gas.
Yes, even compressed air.
And compressed air they've been talking about as well.
A lot of stuff. So that's the thing with autonomous vehicles, is that these car manufacturers aren't afraid to experiment with alternate forms of energy. So I find that interesting, too. So.
And one big hiccup, though, is that right now, fuel tax pays for a lot of our roads. That goes away if you have electric cars, unless you come up with something that substitutes that fuel tax.
So they're going to have to figure that out. And I'm going to guess it's going to be something with the odometer, because it's going to be easy to grab that odometer reading and actually report that. So that's what I think.
Exactly. Or you go to a charging station and you plug in, it's going to say, and here's how much electricity you're buying, and that would compute then into your data for that car.
I think one of the challenges with that, though, is I think a lot of people are gonna fuel at home. They'll plug into their home system and do that. So, but there's that things we can talk about in the future. So, face detecting systems now authorize payments. So when you go and buy something, it just scans your face and it's paid for. What do you think of that?
One of the worst technologies that we'll talk about, too, is that face recognition. That they have many, many issues with that as well.
Well,
so they're getting better at it.
What was that movie with Tom Cruise where he's in the future? Minority Report. Where he's in the future and he's walking around and all these billboards are talking to him because they read his eyes.
That's exactly that's where we're going here. Actually, your advertising will be built to you. The way you pay will be you won't have to carry around a credit card anymore, because your credit card will be attached to your face.
Pretty much.
And it'll just scan
that mark of the devil.
That's right. Without,
I don't know about that.
Without the mark, So that's interesting, and what's crazy is that this isn't futuristic. This is actually now. So there's a company in China that's actually doing this now called Face++, and there's 120 million people in China that already use this technology.
Yeah, I mean, that's freaky stuff. I mean, I'm not religious, but you know, a lot of religious folks, they kind of see a very sinister thing behind that.
Sure. I absolutely and maybe rightfully so. I mean, the age of
1984.
Yeah, yeah, the age of having privacy. You could say that this is the year that's gone bye-bye too, actually. So after the break, everybody, we'll continue our talk on the top tech of 2017. Come on back.
Right now, 37.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. SuperTalk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And yes, I didn't get a, what was it, a Red Ryder BB gun? Is that the...
Yep.
What was the name of the BB gun that in the Christmas story?
I believe it was a Red Ryder.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think.
Yep.
Yep. So, fortunately, I wear glasses, so I don't have to worry about getting my eyes shot out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he had
glasses and he shot it.
too.
Yeah.
He got
He
hit him in the lens.
Yes.
Remember when we were kids and we'd play spy or cowboy and be running around the neighborhood with these little toy guns?
Yes.
And nobody cared.
Slingshots.
Nobody had a problem with that.
Threw rocks at each other.
Two rocks.
Yeah.
Snowballs with a rock inside of them.
Yeah.
You used to do that, Dave? Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes was my favorite, though.
I did like Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, man.
As we're giving the children of the world some advice on what we used to do anyway.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about the greatest tech of 2017, and we've gone through some amazing things so far. To me, what I'm going to talk about next is probably the biggest advance that's going to impact us the most, and that's quantum computers. Mm-hmm. So quantum computers are, and it's difficult to explain what this is unless you're really a techie, but I'm gonna try to explain a little bit. So quantums are measured in qubits. So
are you kidding me?
Qubits. Well, think about
biblical, very biblical there.
It's QUPITS.
Oh,
okay. So when we talk about computers, they're measured in bits or bytes.
Right.
Right. Okay. So qubit, quantum, bytes or bits. Right?
Yeah.
Qubits. So just put QU in front of BIT, and then you have your qubits. So.
Interesting name for it, though.
It is. Yes, I thought the same thing too. I thought it was biblical in nature right away until I investigated it a little bit more. So anyway, so by today's standards, I'm just gonna really simplify this. If in simplified terms, the computer today would be running about 10 to 20 qubits.
Okay.
I mean, it's millions of them, but I'm really just breaking this down, right? So anyway, the fastest computer in the world, in a simplistic term, would be running at about 50 qubits. Okay. When a quantum computer comes out, for you and me, in 3 years, it'll run between 1 million and 10 million qubits in speed. So we're talking something that will be 100,000 to 1 million times faster than what we have right now in 3 years.
Whoa.
So what does that do? I mean, it does amazing things because, I know we have amazing advances in medicine right now, but getting into the DNA, I mean, it takes years of computing time right now just to get to the next level in our DNA. And they talk about there's so much that can be done in that realm, right? Well, if we have computers that run 1 million times faster, what used to take 4, 5, 10 years to compute through will be done in days.
Yeah.
Think about that. It just opens up. And you talk about autonomous vehicles like we were just talking about, right? And the ability to make decisions. Well, instead of making millions of decisions a second as they're looking at the sensors that come at them, they'll be able to make billions of decisions a second and look at what all the scenarios are and what's the possibility if I go here or there and make these decisions quickly. So we're a lot safer in our cars and in our planes and everything else that we move in. Will be a lot safer. Now, on the other side of that, we talk about singularity, which is when computers become aware of themselves, which I know is something that you love to talk about, Jim. So, but there was a lot of talk about that would be around 2050, but because of quantum computers, that could be as early as 2025.
Wow.
So. And I don't know how much that scares people or not. I'm excited about the possibilities. I don't know how I feel about computers becoming aware of themselves. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't even know where to weigh in on that. So
well, and it's hard because some of the things that even last year when we were at CES and the explosion of robot, and what they're being able to do, and now they're going to be able to communicate with each other and saying, I really don't like Dave as my boss. I'm gonna get rid of him. You right. have these communication breakthroughs, and one of them is going to be these computers talking to themselves, right?
Well, and that's scary because they might, they'll be able to develop languages that we don't understand as they're talking to themselves and things. So yeah, there's a lot of things. So speaking of the robot, you just actually brought something up I forgot about. You had a conversation with a robot at CES last year.
Yeah, yes.
So tell me about that.
Well, I'm excited to see how much advancement there is
right.
this next year when
right.
we go to CES here in January. And, the robot responded to my asking him, hey, what's your name? And can you go and get me this pen on the desk? And he responded to me. But
right.
now I'm wondering, are they going to get to a point where they're going to read my mind because they already know, and they're going to go, there's nothing up there to read. But, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to find out how the robots now are going to play more and more into our society, not just as home, but more importantly, probably in the manufacturing
right.
industry, which they're already are involved with right now, the medical industry as well.
Well, and I think robots, we were opened up to this idea at Disruptwell a month and a half ago or so, but they had, remember that video
yep.
that was played
yep.
about a senior citizen, seasoned
yep.
citizen.
It was a smart home.
Yeah, it was a smart home, and
yep.
they had this robot that was following him around basically and
yep.
tending to his needs.
Yep.
Reminding them that he had an appointment here and remember to take a prescription here.
Right, and the weather.
And the weather. And this is, Jennifer's calling, or your daughter's calling you now.
Right.
And things like that, right? So you had all of these things that were going on through this robot that just basically made his life a lot easier, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of that has to do with convenience of, if you're home by yourself, now you have a companion that can help you with certain
right.
situations.
Exactly. So, we'll talk about that another time, but robots are really, really, really coming along. So, next up on the list, and I find this interesting that this is on my list, I guess, but it is pretty amazing, and that's 360-degree cameras. Have you seen these things?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So
yep.
what's amazing is I was watching some footage on my way into the show, before I came into the show today, and it's cool because you can watch it, so I'm watching a snowmobile, and I'm like, well, what's so great about this? Well, then you can just turn the footage a little bit, and you can see the sun coming up over here, and then you can turn a little bit more, and you can see that he's driving through a forest and all this other stuff, right? So it takes 360-degree video, and I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, you can take a video camera and put it in the middle of your birthday party, for example, or
right.
anniversary party, or whatever, and capture everything.
Yeah.
Just let it run and capture everything, and everything and every time you watch it, it's a different venue because you might be watching these kids over here, and the next time you watch it, you might be watching some adults over on the other side of the room. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, I remember when I worked for the engineering company, they had come out with, this was probably 4 years ago, those cameras too, the 365-degree angles. And so you put them in a room, and it was great for architecture.
Right.
And really looking at the issues with, a square room now becomes more, and you could look up into the ceiling and find out what's going on up there. So, yeah, and I'm sure they've gotten so much better.
They've gotten a lot better. And Jim.
Yeah, years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, I remember there was one. It was a 360 of Paris. And
right.
any time of day, you could go and you could look at Paris, and
right.
You could there was a little switch there. You could click there. You could see it from any angle. You look one way, you'd see the tower. Now, I understand there are some legal issues with that.
I'm not sure.
With things like the Eiffel Tower, they actually say that if you want to use the image of the Eiffel Tower, or even if you want to show it on a cam, There's actually some legals. Whoever owns the rights to the Eiffel Tower. Apparently, there are some legal issues there. Of course, the law is different in France, but there you go.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But security-wise, it'll be interesting 10 years from now. Our young people of the world are going to be looking at like our videos that we have taken in our course of our life, and are going to go, Grandpa, what's going on behind it? We can't get over to see what's going on the other side of the video, and you have to explain to them that it was just whatever we were pointing the camera at was the only thing that we could capture at the time. So, yeah, absolutely amazing. So, a couple other things: converting heat to focus beams of light. A new solar device could create cheap and continuous power. So we have solar cells that are going to come out that are going to be twice as efficient as they are right now. So we're going to move to an area where that's going to be a big deal, I think, as far as getting the price of creating energy from solar down. Biology's next mega project will find out what we're really made of. So they're mapping our cells. They call it a cell atlas. And 37.2 trillion cells in the human body, and they're going to map them, and we're going to know this in 5 years. And you talk about what that's going to change as far as medicine goes is pretty amazing. And I know we're going to get to the list of fails of 2017 after the break, and we're going to talk about the botnet of things, which is kind of a concern as well. So come on back after the break, everybody.
Right now, 37.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on SuperTalk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
So we talk a lot about the Internet of Things, and that is everything from your light bulbs and your toasters and your refrigerators and everything else being attached to the Internet now. And that's cool in some degree, I guess. I am, as everybody knows that's in my life right now, I tend to have a fascination about lighting. I'm fascinated with it, and it's cool to connect them to the Wi-Fi in your house because you can do cool things. Like if you go in front of our business, our light colors change for the season right now, right? Because I can program with that. And if the International Space Station comes across overhead, which it does occasionally, all the lights in our building turn red while it's going over the top, so we know that that's happening, So those are cool things that you can do. However, with the Internet of Things comes the botnet of things. Yep. So the botnet is basically a way that somebody can take over your devices and then use them in nefarious ways. So the best way to describe this is that, because most of them have some, not a lot of computing power, but a little bit. But if you combine millions and millions and millions of these things together, you can shut down services like Netflix and all that stuff. And what's crazy about this is that most of the Internet of Things, like your light bulbs and your baby cams and everything else, don't have any security, or they have so little, and most people just install them and go. They don't set a password or whatever, so then people have access to this stuff, right? So probably the most fearful thing out of 2017, in my opinion, is the botnet of things. Yes. Because by the year 2020, we're going to have 20 billion devices attached to the Internet. As of the beginning of this year, it was 5 billion. And it's not that we're going to have a ton more new computers. It's going to be that our lights are connected and all this other stuff. So that's what's scary about this. So my best advice to everybody is to make sure that if you're doing things that are on the Internet of Things, if you're installing your toaster onto your Wi-Fi in your house, make sure you set the passwords so that people don't have access to this stuff, so they're not, taking your toaster and my toaster and Dave's refrigerator or whatever and then taking down Netflix with those things with denial of service tax. So not to get into much, but I just wanted to bring that up as the botnet of things. Now, Rockin' Dave has a list of failures of tech for 2017. So this should be fun, everybody. So Dave, it's yours.
Well, it's interesting as you do research out there, and, a lot of us just go on Google and saying, hey, look at, what were the worst failures of 2017. I actually found a website that is pretty good. It's called Tom's Guide.
Okay.
And what it does is you can actually go there, and it'll talk about smartphones, camera phones, small phones, all those devices. There's also one on web security, gift ideas, parenting, networking, and he'll give you the good and the bad of
Very good.
all of that.
Yep.
You know, so it was pretty interesting seeing some of that. So a couple of the failures that, and again, I don't want to throw any companies under the bus, but I guess we'll be doing that maybe a little bit here. Is they were called Snapchat spectacles. And they had these big glasses.
Okay.
In fact, they called them minions.
Okay.
You wore them around, and they had these little cameras on the outside of them. And I mean, they were selling for like $1,000, and I think part of it was that they just never took off, and part of it was they were supposed to be doing video recording and stuff like that while you were walking around and everything, and I just didn't make it out there.
I didn't hear of them at all.
They are pretty ugly.
Yeah,
too.
I see that.
Yeah.
They didn't come in my favorite color, yellow, so I would have never bought them, I guess.
The other one that was kind of interesting was GameStop. They had put together a program where you could go and for $60 you could check out used games from your local stores one at a time for 6 months. And then when it's up, you'd get to keep them and these titles. So what they were trying to do is just get people that were tired of their games, bring them back in, and you could can rent them. Well, it didn't go anywhere. They lost millions of dollars in that whole campaign. But
So I'm actually a member of that.
you are.
I didn't know you were bringing this up. I have never, ever... I went and bought my Switch from them, the Nintendo Switch, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago or whatever, and the person in the store actually talked me into buying this subscription, which, at the time, I'm like, that might be fun to do. I have never, ever used it, and now it's bye-bye, so that's good. I just threw away $60.
I have to mention this. I don't know if it's related to what Dave is talking about or not, honestly, but last night I was at my local convenience store, and they're selling virtual reality glasses now for like $12.
Okay.
Now, what you would do with them, I haven't the slightest idea.
They probably are the ones that you slip your phone into.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can, go into a virtual reality world by wearing basically your smartphone.
Alrighty.
And you have some software that are on there that will emulate the fact that you're running with dinosaurs or in some type of fantasy land.
Is there enough of that out there to justify the purchase now?
Oh, sure.
There is, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I actually use my VR occasionally. And in fact, I use my VR goggles when I fly my drone.
Okay. And,
so
and they're that cheap. They're only like $12.
Well, it's because you're using your smartphone.
Gotcha.
That's why it's so cheap, because the technology's in your phone. The glasses are just the thing to put them in.
And that's where it's all going anyway.
It is
all
all
that
going that
technology is going to be right there in your fingertips on the phone.
I mean, you think about the augmented reality we've been playing with the last couple of days. Pretty amazing. All right, next up.
The other one was called Pixel Buds wireless headphones.
Okay.
And these were headphones that you would wear, but the cool thing that they were trying to capture was it would, if somebody was speaking to you in German, you would hear it in English.
Did it work?
No.
Oh.
No, it didn't. It didn't work.
I'm like,
so they were trying
cow,
40 different languages that they were trying to be able to translate. Yeah. I mean, but you think, well, I think that's a cool. I got a feeling that there's going to be something improved on that.
So my guess is that the computer that's built into it isn't fast enough. So when we have quantum computers that come out, that'll change instantly. Yeah. And you're right. That's cool. I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we'll see some of that new improved buds at CES.
Yeah, very possible. Yep.
And this is dated failures out there, but it's amazing how things have changed so much. Remember when the Samsung Note 7 smartphone started exploding out there?
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know how much money they lost that year?
They lost a lot of money.
$2.3 billion they had to write off.
Oh, my goodness.
They had to write off for that.
And of course, I trust it because now I have a Samsung 8.
Well, the Galaxy 8 now appears to be robust.
Oh, yeah.
So now, and I think that, whenever there's a failure, people want to try to say, hey, how can we improve on that?
Yep, amazing.
And then back in 2014, Amazon believed the success for the prisoner talking Kindle Fire tablets would be replicated with Fire Phone. You ever hear of the Fire Phone?
I did hear of this, yes.
However, the mid-range hardware failed to impress customers who are already using iPhones and Android devices. Amazon sliced the price from Fire Phones from $99 to 99 cents.
Oh, my goodness.
With a 2-year contract. Within the first month, look at $170 million they had to write off for all of these phones.
And then you look at Amazon Alexa or the Echo, right? And they didn't think that was going to be a big deal at all, and that's turned into just a phenomena. So amazing.
And then we talked about Google and Google Glass and everything like that, and where that's happened. And I think that you're going to see again some new technologies that maybe were a little ahead of their time.
Yep.
And where they're going to be at today. We talk about all the iPads and touchpads. HP had launched a touchpad. I don't know if people know this, back in 2011 to be a competitor to the iPad.
Right.
But a month later, HP announced that it would discontinue devices, and they had to liquidate all of their stock, which were selling for $99.
And now touchpads are crazy.
You bought all of their inventory. I
did.
Marlo.
Yes, $99. It was a good deal, fire sale. So, hey everybody, this is our last show of the year. We want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for us, the holidays fall on Monday, which is the time of our show. So our next show will be coming to you live from Las Vegas.
3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today, we'll be live from Las Vegas. Rockin' Dave and I will be there covering CES and having a lot of fun. So have a great week, everybody.
God bless you guys.